guys, yeah, it's been a long time coming to an exclusive interview without being bubbly jubbly and all that, but it's hard. There's serious questions you're asking me, and all I can try and do is give you serious answers. The first thing is, have we got TV deals for next year? Yes, of course we have, guys. You know, we've just signed a major deal with Sky Sports. We're on 8 shows for next year, all from London. But the biggest thing, I think, and like a couple of days ago we was in the studio with Grant Waterman and we was talking, I'll bring him in later on, we were talking about exposure for fighters. My biggest thing in MMA is to make fighters famous. And we've got a weekly show called Cage Fighter where we bring the guys who have worked their guts out for years and years to actually produce what they do and be shown on TV. They get their half-hour slot called Cage Fighter, which shows their fights, their gyms, you know, everything we do to promote the sport of MMA. You know, we've now employed a guy called Mark Carney who's going around the country doing gyms of the week. A lot of people have talked about doing it, but actually putting it on TV at a different level. So thanks for that. Well, that's a really serious question, you know. Why don't I have 5-minute rounds for title fights? I don't believe I should push the fighters to that limit for the amount of money we pay. I'm a very honest guy. I've been around a long time. You know, if I'm paying you $500,000, etc., etc., I'll expect you to do 5-minute rounds. At the moment, you know, when the guys are getting a good purse, we probably pay one of the best purses in the country, but it's still not enough to make these guys go 5-minute rounds. Why should they? You know, a lot of the guys, I'd say 50% of the guys are professional. That means they're full-time MMA fighters. The other guys, 50%, they work in offices, banks, building sites, and they work around being MMA fighters. That's not fair to push them guys at 5-minute rounds. But you know what? I tell you what, I'd like to do a link now. If we can, Grant, I don't know if you can hear me. If we can go to Grant's in Slavinia at the moment, another massive MMA organisation. Grant, can you hear me? And do you want to talk about 5-minute rounds?
Yeah, well, the 5-minute round saga continues to be discussed, Dave. But you know what? I'm refereeing quite a few shows now all over Europe, and many of those still only use 3 5-minute rounds for their title fights. I don't think it's so much a pay issue, but it's an entertainment issue and a safety issue. If guys are fighting 5-minute rounds, they're obviously taking a lot more punishment. There's a greater risk of brain damage due to repeated headshots if it's a stand-up fight, and they're taking a lot of kicks, punches and knees to the head over that duration. But it's also an entertainment issue. I've seen many championship fights, the UFC, Cage Rage, Ultimate Challenge, many other shows across Europe. And I really have to say, if you're fighting 5-minute rounds, you're going to pace yourself differently as if you're fighting 3 5-minute rounds. 3 5-minute rounds, you're going for a finish within the 3 5s. 5-minute rounds, you're going to pace yourself just in case it goes the distance, and the fight will be fought at a slower pace, and it just isn't as entertaining for the crowd. So I think the majority of spectators still prefer to see 3 5-minute rounds.
Why don't I do elbows on the ground? Well, you're really asking the question today. Listen, it's again one of them things. In the press conference just before Kings of the Cage, I did ask the fighters, and again it was 50-50. 50% of the guys, yeah, we want elbows, 50% no. And what I said to the guys is this: it's great when you're on top, raining down them little elbows. But what happens when you're underneath, getting hit with elbows? You know, elbows are the most sharpest point of your body for implementing damage, and when you get cut across the eye, it's deep and it's bloody. It's just like soccer kicks. Do people like to see that in a sport? I personally don't. I love good old fisticuffs and let it crack on. But the other thing was when me and Andy went with Cage Rage to Japan, the executive producer of a massive TV show said the same thing to us. Said, listen guys, isn't it better for the guy to posture up and start punching down so all the TV audience can see what's happening, rather than crouched over using little elbows? But again, let's not take my word of it. And Grant, I know the reception's a little bit bad over there, but Grant, let's hear your views. You're one of the longest standing refs I know, along with Mark Goddard, Leon Roberts, Sledge. You know, these guys are the top of their game, but Grant has been around since the beginning. So Grant, if you can hear me, please can we give your view on elbows?
Here we go again with the elbow issue. Well, personally, My personal opinion is, and I'm not a fan of elbows, I know there are still some fans who like them, but really, do elbow strikes add to the entertainment factor of a fight, of what you're watching? No, they don't. Have elbows got a negative side to them or a positive side? When you weigh the positives and the negatives definitely outweigh the positives. They're not as entertaining. Fights that finish with a cut, okay, it is a tactic. Cut your opponent, finish a fight, and you win. That's a tactic of fighting. But people don't want to see that. They'd rather see knockouts, submissions, fights ending in that manner, which is what MMA is all about. I don't like elbows. If you get two guys of a lower level, and one is much more powerful than the other, and the one guy perhaps isn't as adept at defending elbows, then you're going to get a lot of damage, and there's a safety issue. So maybe you could say that we could introduce A class and B class MMA, but then you're confusing the whole rules issue even further. Another thing, I'm in Slavinia this week refereeing the WFC. They're using pride rules. There's always still an argument, you know, whether soccer kicks, knees to the head of a downed opponent are dangerous. I've refereed a lot of fights now, pride rules, UFC rules, cage rage rules, and I really do have to say that elbows are the most dangerous strike of all of them. You rarely see a soccer kick. Knees to the head when two guys are on the ground are not powerful enough to cause any further damage than any other strike, except for when you're being knee to the top of the head in a north-south position. That's something that could be addressed. But the elbow issue, I just don't think it's of any consequence to leave elbow strikes out of an MMA fight.
Well, thanks for that, Grant. Well, it just shows you I'm not that wrong after all, because sometimes you feel like I'm just a lone little fish in a pond, but no, I'm not. And another question's come up, and I'm glad you asked that question. Chuckle up, knuckle up. Listen, we had our differences early on in the year. I'm a firm believer of, you know, shake hands, water under a bridge, etc. They apologised doing an interview, kind of like what I'm doing now. So, yeah, guys, I've got no problem with knuckle up. I've got no problem with what they do. But it's just not fair to come that close to someone's promotion and try and do exactly the same thing. That was my big beef. But I think everybody learnt their lesson. We've all shook hands, gone away. So knuckle up, fantastic, crack on, do what you do. What's the beef with me and Warrior TV? Listen, I don't know what you've heard. I've got not much beef, except I think the trading standards should be involved. You can't be called Mr. Motorcar if you drive a bicycle. Why are they called Warrior TV if they put nothing on TV? That's kind of like leading people astray. Like you're telling a fighter, this is Warrior TV, you're going to be on YouTube. It's not right, it's not fair. And the reason why I fell out of him is because when we was implementing gyms of the week, I really believed if a guy's going over a camera doing interviews anyway, could you do, Mikey, please do a gym of the week for me at London Shoot? Could you please do a gym of the week for me? It only means running around with a camera. I've been doing this for 10 years, I know what it entails. And anything that's come back, it wasn't TV worthy, there was a bit of and ahhing. Do you know what, I just went, let's wash it. And when he became a Bama lover, that was it for me. You know, it's alright, but jumping over to the other side, I love Bama, Whamma, thank you, and I'll get on to Bama in a minute. I know you've been asking a question, I've been trying to avoid it, but it's going to have to happen. Is, no, we've parted ways, and it's simple as that, but I do believe there should be a change of name, Warrior YouTube, and I'll be happy. Alright, I noticed the question, yeah, I know, yeah. Why do I hate Bama? Listen, it's not a hate with Bama, but it's one of them things. They worked with me for years, spun me the same set of rubbish that they spun everybody else. I believed in it for so long until I heard them words, tell them what they want to hear. I'm not into lying to people, it's wrong. But you become my enemy when you book a show on the same day and then try and take all my staff by offering more money. And it's no good offering someone £5,000 if they're not going to get it, because I'll go, I'll offer you £10,000, but I'm not going to give it to you. What's the point in saying things and then not carrying them out? If you believe, like the Emperor's New Clothes, that Bama was going to go ahead, you are seriously mistaken. Open your eyes. But I mean, people said to me, oh Dave, you're just being a hater. I'm not a hater, I'm a realist. People don't like me because I tell the truth. the show, as soon as the doors got locked, as soon as they went into administration, the show was never going to go ahead. But it's not bad. Let's forget about BAMMA. What about the fighters? Where's people going to say, what about these guys eating for Christmas? What about their kids? What about the 12 weeks training? What about the manager who spent on the promotion, the this, the that? Was he going to go on TV? Where was the adverts for TV? All I say to you people, don't believe me because, yeah, I'm a hater or whatever. Believe yourself. It's like JFK all over again, isn't it? Who shot the Kennedy? Was it this? Was Dave Green here? Was he there? Of course it was never going to go ahead. All you had to do is believe. Is there aliens? You tell me. Will BAMMA come alive again? That's what they're telling me now. Listen, if I know the Green brothers, well not Steve, if I know Dave, if I know the Green brothers, of course they're coming alive. They're already putting him, they're trying to get hold of Alex Reid because that's their next big thing. If they can get Alex Reid to do a show, they will abuse the Reidinator, get him on there and get a TV deal. That's what they'll do. But for promoters, they are not promoters. They are great at TV, but they are not promoters. They won't listen to anybody, and they didn't listen to me. But anyway, end of BAMMA, whamma BAMMA, jimma jamma, whatever. Let's just push that aside. Another question, please. We've got to get off that subject. Are we going to see a governing body this year? Listen, again, we've put a lot of money into just helping people out. It's not about, oh, Dave's got a governing body. I don't want a governing body. I don't want to get involved in licences. But what I'd like to see is the fight has been regulated. And so much as the fight has been regulated, the sport be regulated. So promotions like BAMMA, like these big who come from nowhere going, we're going to put a big show on. That you say, well, if it's your first show or second show, can we see some money in the bank that you can actually put the show on? Because it's alright promising people, if you can't deliver, the fighters are trained for that long and going, sorry fighters, there's no fight. That is not fair, it's not right, it shouldn't be done. So for me, a governing body needs to be put in place for rules and regulations. You know, if we say we're going to do a show, we will do it. You know, if we say a fighter can't fight for one or other reason, the other guy will get paid. The other guy will be exactly the same as what happened. He will get sorted out. He won't be, sorry, your mate didn't turn up, you'll get no pay, you'll get X, Y and Z. The only thing that may not happen is he won't get a fight, but he'll be offered a fight on the third day, the second day, maybe even on the day of the weigh-in, he'll be still offered a fight, or try to the best of our ability. So that's what it's about. Looking after fighters is the main thing. A governing body just to regulate, to make sure that paramedics are in place, the doctors, cutsmen, and just to write a number of officials. That's all we're trying to do, and just put things in place that are right to make MMA the sport of the future for the crowds. Now, again, last time, Grant, because time's ticking and the guys got to go back to the Red Tops. So, can we, Grant, just get your view on the governing body?
Will there be a governing body introduced in 2011? Short answer, no. Should there be? Yes, there should. Not only just to protect or to govern the rules, make sure that all people are using standard rules, standard time sets, to ensure that the referees are up to scratch, the judges know what they're looking at, etc, 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 that medics are being used, the fighters' safety is being overseen correctly, but also to protect fighters, that they're going to get paid, venues are going to get paid, the public are going to be protected from buying tickets. There's so many issues to be addressed by a governing body that is the difficulty in starting one up. What I think there should be is an advisory body started, so that we can advise promoters, fighters, etc, and managers of where they should be going, and direct them towards, perhaps we can work towards creating a governing body down the line sometime. But I don't think we're ready for it yet. The sport is too fragmented.
Blood test, yeah, it's been a whole year since we started blood tests, and all I can do from the bottom of my heart is thank every fighter for actually doing what this sport needs, trying to legitimise the sport. You know, it takes from us, we've got to monitor it, folders, chase up the fighters to do it, but it just brings into you're legitimising the sport. I mean, I'm really hoping next year, if I can put in place steroid testing, drug testing, that'll be another step. It's all right having a governing body, but you've got to adhere by the rules. If we cannot adhere by the rules of having a simple blood test, and a big promotion, I beg some of the big promotions out there, Cage Warriors, OMAC, UWC, ZT Fight, and Strike Submit maybe, you've got 4 or 5 guys there who should go, you know what, let's try and implement blood tests, because they're the big speaks, they're the big noise in this country. And if all them guys now start putting blood tests into place, how good would it be to fight on a show knowing that you are safe from HIV, hepatitis B, you're actually fighting with your gloves on going, I'm okay. How great. So we borrow a fight from OMAC, or they get a fight from Multiple Challenge, all them guys are there. You know, the blood test lasts 3 months, 4 months, I mean, but the guys have repeatedly, Dave, I'll email it to you, it's done. The girls even, you know, that's fantastic, and that is a major step forward. In fact, one of the guys who implemented the blood test, and again, I was like, Grant, I don't think it's going to work. Let's go back to Slavinia. The Slavinia, if you can hear me over there, Grant, explain a bit about blood tests and a bit about why it's needed.
Yeah, blood tests. It's a fantastic thing to have finally been introduced. Many of the shows in Europe have been using blood tests, HIV tests, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, for a long time, but they don't make a big noise about it. It's just something they do over there. I've been trying to encourage you, Dave, to do this for a long time, and I've been trying to encourage many shows in the UK to implement standard blood tests. Dave's a walker, he's not a talker, he's done it, and for that he definitely needs a pat on the back. Some of the fighters were reluctant to go down the route of getting blood tests done, simply because it's an inconvenience. Everybody thinks it's going to cost a lot of money as well. It doesn't. It's just something simple that every single show in the UK should be doing. UCMMA have led the way, and probably as the biggest and best show in the UK, it's led the way. So hopefully 2011 we'll see all the other MMA shows in the UK using blood tests.
Okay, Grant, thanks for that. And again, great work, great wisdom. I know we all have a laugh, and people always say, we said the other day on Cage Fighter, like, it's so funny to see people like Gary Turner wearing false moustaches and laughing, because if you really believe in a sport, you can have, like, you can go crazy, you can be cuckoo mad, but when it talk about time to be serious, we can be serious too. We are UCMMA, and this is the sport of the future, and this is your sport, the fan sport, mixed martial arts, and don't you dare forget it.